Two-Face here, back with another reaction video. This time reacting to the Battle of Silva, Litana, 216 BC, Hannibal Part 14, Second Punic War. Now, just bearing in mind, this is a little quick side note. This video was made, what was it? Let me get the date. This video was made 4 days ago from History March made this video 4 days ago, and this is a year on from the rest of the other episodes of the Hannibal series. So, and a quick nosy through the comments. Excuse me. Yeah. From the time of this video, so roughly 6 days, History March should have part 15 come out. So anyway, so obviously History March have got other massive projects on their channel, which is interesting videos they got. So I just thought I'd quickly let out that little side note if you haven't seen the original before. So the usual disclaimer when I react to anything historical, if I don't show so much what is considered a proper reaction, is probably obvious that I don't know much about the subject at hand, and if I do, I'll most likely pause the video, give my input, and share my input. Sorry, my brain just shut off for a second. Or ask any curious questions, which hopefully might be answered in the comments below. So, without further ado, the link to the original video in the description will be in the description down below. Please go and subscribe to History March, check out their channel and support them for future projects, and I hope their success continues. So, without further ado, let's get this up on the screen, and here we go.
On August 2nd, 216 BC, Hannibal won his greatest victory near the town of Cannae in southern Italy.
This is such
good
animation.
By day's end, his outnumbered mercenaries had destroyed the majority of the largest army Rome had ever put to field, marking this as one of the bloodiest military encounters ever fought. For the Romans, Cannae became the benchmark by which subsequent defeats were measured. It would not be surpassed for another 600 years. The dazed survivors of the Roman army dispersed. Varro resurfaced in Venusia in charge of as little as 70 horsemen who escaped the pursuing Numidians. In Canusium, a certain 19-year-old tribune by the name of Publius Scipio, together with 3 other tribunes, gathered a larger group of some 3,000 men. Despite barely escaping the carnage, the young tribune was notable for inspiring the troops, going as far as threatening to kill those who spoke about fleeing, and forcing the men to take an oath never to betray Rome. In the days that followed, up to 10,000 survivors would converge on Canusium, and Varro would resume command.
Wow.
The question was, what would Hannibal do now? Play as the most powerful hero in the world and encounter millions of real players in the world's biggest and most badass mobile game, Raid Shadow Legends. Explore millions of champion combinations and master countless tactics.
Feel free to check out their sponsor.
Bosses.
Excuse me, sorry about that. Ooh.
A day after the battle, the Carthaginians were still plundering the 2 enemy camps, taking 19,300 prisoners.
Oh, man.
Hannibal saw to the burial of his fallen troops and gave Paulus a proper burial. But the dead Roman soldiers were left to rot in the sun. While more than 50,000 men lay dead or dying in the plain below, the Carthaginian leadership met at a villa in Cannae. Visibly exhausted, they were in disagreement. Hannibal and some of his officers wanted to rest the army and prepare for the campaign in southern Italy. Maharbal, a prominent cavalry commander, was among those who wanted to march on Rome without delay. Proclaiming, perhaps enthusiastically, that he would lead the Numidians to the capital in 5 days, he protested to Hannibal, "Truly the gods do not give everything to the same man. You know how to win a victory, Hannibal, but you do not know how to use one."
Wow.
Whether or not these words were truly spoken, the reality was that Rome was 400 kilometers away. Another long march, after a grueling campaign had just ended, would be disastrous. Furthermore, the Senate adopted emergency measures to raise 4 legions in the coming weeks. Criminals, slaves, and boys as young as 16 or 17 were conscripted. While insufficient for a pitched battle, these troops would be enough to man the walls of Rome. Praetor Marcus Claudius Marcellus, previously tasked with reinforcing Sicily, was now sent to bolster the confidence of allies in Campania and wait for the wreck of the army of Cannae to join him. If he were to march on Rome, Hannibal would be placing himself between 2 Roman armies who would need to fend off relief forces that the Senate would muster over the coming months. To overcome the enemy's vast manpower, Hannibal had hoped for reinforcements from Iberia, but thus far the Scipio brothers had kept Hasdrubal at bay. Worse, Carthaginian Senate's planning and logistics left much to be desired. Troops in Spain and Italy were mostly paid by the Barcid family Silva. Very little financial support came from Carthage itself thus far. This disjointed system was detrimental to the war effort and in stark contrast to the better organized Roman Senate that strived to secure funding and logistical support for its army and navy in all theaters. So far, the only attempt to supply Hannibal was a fleet of 70 ships that roamed the waters of northern Italy in the aftermath of the Battle of Trasimene in 217. But lack of coordination prevented them from making contact, and many of these ships had since been captured near the port of Cosa. Confronted by these problems, Hannibal knew that despite his ability to outwit and surprise his opponents, his army would not endure the many corrosive years in the field without reinforcements and logistical support. The decision not to march on Rome was sound. While the situation in southern Italy remained uncertain, another Roman army advanced north to punish the tribes of Cisalpine Gaul for siding with Hannibal. The expedition was launched just days after the main army went on its way to Cannae, as part of the Senate's plan to destroy all enemies in the Italian peninsula in one massive counterattack.
Sorry, I got a bit distracted over here.
Commanded by Lucius Postumius Albinus, the Romans marched through the Silva Litana forest, some 120 kilometers northwest of Ariminum. Albinus was a Roman politician and a veteran general. By now a man in his late 50s, he spent the last 10 years in retirement, but was recalled into service during this time of crisis. He was given 2 legions and had recruited allied troops, mustering a 25,000-strong army. With reports of enemy presence further north, Albinus expected to confront the tribesmen in the Po Valley. But the main Boii force was much closer. They secured the perimeter along the enemy's line of march. The Gauls had cut into the trees in such a way that they would remain standing without assistance, but would topple over if given a slight shove. As the column advanced further along the woodland road, the tribesmen pushed the trees onto the enemy.
Wow.
The trees fell on each other and crashed onto the road from both sides, killing Roman soldiers and horses and destroying equipment. Most of Albinus's men died under the weight of the tree trunks and thick branches. The boy waiting in the forest moved in on the panicked survivors.
Wow.
Roman resistance was fiercest in the vanguard, but elsewhere the encounter became a one-sided slaughter. Albinus fought to avoid capture, but was killed and decapitated. According to legend, his head was later taken to a Boii sacred temple, where the skin was scraped off and the bare skull was covered with gold.
Wow.
It was used as a cup for drinking by the tribe's high priest. A contingent of Roman veterans at the head of the column tried to escape across a river, but were captured by the Boii, who had already taken the bridge over it. Very few Roman prisoners were taken. The Boii also took a vast amount of loot, with the Roman goods handily concentrated along the forest road. Of the 25,000 Romans, only 10 men survived the battle.
Wow.
Reports of the annihilation in Silva, Litana came mere days after the catastrophe at Cannae. A panic hit the city of Rome. The Senate ordered aediles to patrol the streets, open shops, and disperse any sign of defeatism. However, all offensive operations against the Gauls were suspended indefinitely. Varro was now sent to levy new troops for the defense of Picenum and Etruria, where he would remain in command of up to 2 legions and an equal number of allied troops for several years. Across the Mediterranean, in Iberia, the Romans fared better. Hasdrubal Barca managed to reorganize his forces after the defeat at the Ebro in 217. And, after receiving a contingent of 4,000 infantry and 1,000 cavalry from Africa, he decided to close the distance against the Scipio brothers. But some of the officers that he punished and imprisoned for cowardice after the Ebro debacle had escaped back to their homes among the Tertessian people. They instigated a revolt and captured the city of Asqua, which held a large Carthaginian depot for grain and other supplies.
Over here.
Reluctantly, Hasdrubal had to move south and abandon plans to advance across the Ebro in 216. All reports suggested that the uprising had the potential for spreading beyond the Tartessi territory. This would destabilize Carthaginian rule in Iberia, damage Hasdrubal's supply lines, and endanger the safety of the rich copper and silver mines that were vital for the war effort.
Wow.
Hasdrubal met Silva in battle and made short work of the rebel army, despite their large numbers. Around this time, he received news of the victory at Cannae and was ordered by the Carthaginian Senate to march his army to Italy as soon as he could. But he was now too far south, and his army needed rest. Most he could do is reach the Ebro River before the onset of winter, but it was too late to campaign against the Romans. For the older Scipios, this was a window of opportunity they would not miss. Previously, except for a brief expedition south of the Ebro, they largely stayed north of the river, weary of Hasdrubal's generalship,
it's a good defensive
the vast
position,
resources he had at his disposal. But
this might sound dumb because, well, I'm saying it, but staying north of the Ebro River seems like quite a good defensive position. But as I said, like, the Scipio brothers have been the most successful out of all the Roman campaigns against the Carthaginians. So,
taking advantage of the Carthaginian general's absence, the Scipios negotiated an alliance with some of the Celtiberian tribes. In addition, they enlisted many mercenaries from their ranks and began preparations to push south across the Ebro next spring. Back in southern Italy, a Macedonian delegation was heading towards the Italian coast.
Wow.
Upon hearing of Hannibal's victory at Cannae, Philip V of Macedon wanted to propose an alliance with the Carthaginian general. His ambassadors joined Hannibal at his camp. The negotiations would drag on until next summer. And the situation in Italy would change dramatically over the coming months.
Okay. And just read these footnotes. Rome remembered the massacre at Silva, Litana. After the Second Punic War ended, their return to subdue Cisalpine Gaul, but the Boii in particular were targeted. Their population was decimated and many were forced to emigrate to Bohemia. Their territory in Italy was divided beyond a large number of Italic colonists. The determination of the Roman people under the leadership of the Senate to continue the war in spite of the catastrophe at Cannae was a source of immense pride to later generation of Romans. The Roman aristocracy justified its right to rule by the obligation of its members to lead in war. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just thought I'd read those footnotes. So yeah, this has been another interesting video by History March, and yeah. So hopefully, can't wait for the next episode, which should be in roughly 6 days, I think. So I'll definitely do a reaction to that one. So and also I'll be reacting to until then I will react to other historical videos in the meantime. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. If you like this video, if you like this reaction, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the